collaborer. It is 7 o'clock. I will call the meeting to order. Before we adopt the agenda, I would like to remove 11.6 under new business from the agenda and to put it at the next committee meeting. We don't add anything to the council meeting agenda, but there were two items that came to our attention since Friday, and these are two sessions for the in-camera. One is staffing, and one is the Acadian Oath of Allegiance. These are the two items, and if there is a consensus, we can add that to the agenda in the in-camera session. I would recommend that the agenda be accepted. Moved and seconded by Hector. All those in favor indicate by saying yes. Contrary, no. Motion is carried. Are there any items on the agenda that could put you in a conflict of interest? If not, we will go on to presentations. We have reversed the presentations. So the first presentation will be Annie Lalancette, community-based responses to marine hazards. I will ask Annie to come forward to the mic, and Alain will make the presentation on the screen. Good evening, everyone. I prepared my presentation in English, but I will try to make a presentation on the fly in French. Thank you a lot for giving me the opportunity to speaking on the research project. I am a student at the doctoral level at St. Mary's University. I worked with MIOPAR. I am concluding my doctorate with Concordia in Montreal, and this is just to give you an idea of my background, where I worked. My thesis is on marine hazards with the local perspective, and I worked in Australia, especially with the population over there. That is my training before coming here to St. Mary's. So this evening, what I want to talk about is a project that was launched by MIOPAR. It's one of the federal government projects. Our project is on the community responses to marine hazards. The French translation is danger, but hazards is more appropriate. It is for the marine dangers. So this evening I have the modest objectives. I want to present the proposed project, discuss how it can be tailored to meet Clare's needs for your municipality, and discuss, if we go that far, to discuss an approach, a more appropriate approach to the research in Clare. What we have done, it's been a few years since it's been going. The first step was a lot more theoretical, and it was an analysis of what was published in scientific publications and the community responses and the dangers, not only marine but general dangers. When I talk about hazards, I talk really about everything that concerns climatic changes, but also on oil spills, or every danger really. What we found in the literature across the world is the responses that were implemented locally there were answers that are localized to improve the well-being and the relations, and I'm thinking in English, to provide or to give advice and others to increase the use. And finally, there are a lot of answers that are focalized on the marine. So this is a global picture of what is going on in the world. What we noted is that throughout the world, all the countries are using 5 groups of responses, but the frequency on how it functions is it depends on the revenue of the country, but also on the governing of the countries across the world. And this was the first phase of the project. What we are proposing, we want to have a local vision to see what the reality of the municipalities are in Canada for the preparation for the hazard. And here we are more on concentrating on marine hazards. We offer 3 big goals to have a better understanding of the marine hazards in Canada. The understanding of the oceans, it's a danger that is relatively new. We want to spend more time on that and to have a better idea of what the possibilities are or the risks are for the coastal communities in Canada. And finally, we want to assess the gaps. It's hard to read in English and think in French, but we want to evaluate the differences between the policies and the programs that are available either at the provincial or federal levels and the needs. We want to check if there is a link between the needs and the responses. There are 3 components. The first of all, we want to have a national survey with the municipalities to ask them what are their priorities and their barriers, and the facilitators to implement the responses to the marine hazards. The second is we want a national mapping of the coastal communities, sensitivity to oceans by using indicators like ecological, biological, social, and cultural indicators. And finally, the point that is more of interest to you is we want to have 4 detailed local case studies, and the municipality of Clare could be one of these studies. We would have 3 points that we need to do with the municipality. First, we would want to document your local experiences, and that is more office work that I already did. I documented the dangers that are pertinent to your municipality, but what we would want to find out is the responses to the dangers where it is located through you with the municipality, and depending on the answers that were given, we want to plan the resources that you have, the criteria that you use to find the answers, and finally the obstacles that you meet. So we want to have a global picture of how to approach the responses to the marine and how we can help you in your steps. I spoke a bit earlier about the community level, but it could be interviews, it could be workshops with the people who are involved in the planning. Secondly, what we are interested in is to have a better idea of the consequences, local consequences. It's usually research shows that there are impacts, and the impacts are sometimes very general. There could be like overflows from the raining, but we want to talk with the people to see what the consequences are according to them on those impacts, and short, medium, and long term, and at what point it can affect the community. And I put in the blue square there the different dangers like flooding for Clare. There is a list there. You see, you have already looked at the planning for the climate changes, but uh, there are also others that are not climatic, like um, oil spills. And finally, there would also be to evaluate the priorities and values from the people on site to have more information on the prioritization, to have a better idea of what we want to protect and the consequences to avoid. And that could help with the prioritization of scientific information. But we want the information to make a better decision. So the potential benefits for the community is to increase awareness uh, to the people, so the people can see the different dangers that exist, and also they want to make the people aware at the provincial and federal levels on what the municipalities' priorities and needs are, and to potentially have a better idea of the values to make the decisions and options. And finally, the last point, and these are question marks, for in our research we have a multi-level, multi-hazard approach. Um, we think that maybe by having a more global approach we would be able to identify certain responses that could answer to impacts caused by different dangers, and there could be some main responses that could be made. So that is to be seen. The research is ongoing. And thank you. That's all I had to say, and I am ready to take your questions. Any questions? I know we had a small meeting before the meeting, Stefan, myself, and you, and it the idea that we discussed was it would be a good idea that she come to a meeting of the planning committee to discuss, because Greg Zwicker would be here. He did the work on the plan for the council, and there could be a discussion there. It could start there if you agree at looking into that research and be part of the research. A few questions. I saw there were oil spills. If there was an oil spill in Southwest Nova or Clare, is there a company or an organization which is ready to respond to the case if something happens in Nova Scotia, from Nova Scotia or Halifax, if it happens here or anywhere? But we are surrounded by water, and I'm wondering if there is an organization or a company that can help. I am just arriving from Montreal. I've been in Nova Scotia for a few months. Not that I know, but these are the things that are part of the research to see what is lacking, and to see if there are responses to hazards that have not been covered.
So, as I understand it, here in the municipality, you have a hazards committee. Are there other questions? Is the project, is it directed mainly at fisheries? It's not focused especially on fisheries, but on coastal communities. Now, in a coastal community, of course, fisheries are important. And this is the sector that is potentially the one that would be the most impacted, especially with acidification of the oceans. Any other questions? If there are none, I think if there's a consensus, I think there will be a meeting of the planning committee before very long in the next couple of weeks. If there's a consensus to participate in the study and to invite Annie to this meeting, I think it's an honor to be part of this study. Really, if you are all in agreement, then we can go ahead with that. It would be interesting, perhaps for me, if some of you would be interested in having interviews with me concerning how you approached decisions and planning with regard to hazards and the difficulties that you may have encountered. So if you could contact me in the near future. Stefan will be in contact with you, and as soon as we have a date for the planning committee, we will send you the date. Danny has a question. We spoke about this last evening. We haven't contacted with Mark. There's emergency measures could be involved with this. So there's our EMO plan. So they would be interested in this plan that's being proposed this evening. Mark is a member of the planification committee. I forgot that. It's a good point. So thank you very much to having chosen us and for having come to make this presentation, and we hope to be seeing you in the near future. The second presentation, the St. Bernard Fire Department, Danielle. It's not for the fire department, it's for the training committee. I've seen the presentation.
Any more questions? Anybody else?
Thank you for the presentation. Continue with the good work. Thank you. Thank you. We will now go to the adoption of minutes. 4.1 October 26 regular council meeting. Are there any errors or omissions? Four point two, 26th of October, swearing in ceremony. Are there any errors or omissions? There being none, a motion is in order. Moved by Hector, seconded by Carl. All in favor say aye. Contrary minded nay. Adopted. Carried. 4.3 November 2nd, Council in Committee meeting. Are there any errors or omissions? Moved by Neil, seconded by Danny. All in favor say aye. Contrary nay. Carried. 5. Business arising from previous meetings. There is none. 6. Warden's activity report. On the 2nd of November, I gave an address at the Francophone immigration meeting, which took place in the Clare High School. That rotates among schools. The international students came to visit the classes, and the students liked this very much. 3rd of November, there was a session on the economic advancement of women, also at the Clare High School. The minister was in attendance. The municipality has a role. The CDNE has been looking at our policies within the municipality to ensure, and Stefan will speak more in detail on this, to ensure that they are written in a way which is equitable for women and men, so that even in interviews for employment that the questions are appropriate. And I think we're waiting for a bit more documentation. Yes, the final document hasn't arrived yet, but this service has been provided to us free of charge, and we hope to benefit from it. And we're still waiting for the documents, but it's a really good service which has been provided. 5th of November, meeting of the Board of Governors of the University St. Anne, and then there was on the 11th, there was the Remembrance Day ceremony at the Veterans Memorial. So if you have any questions, that's my report. We will now go to official presentation of members of the council. Brian, I would like to wish a happy anniversary to my fair Joe and Billy Joe. It's their 25th anniversary of marriage, and I would like the council to prepare a letter of congratulation. You're all in agreement with that? The date is today, the 16th of November. Are there other presentations? Eric? I would like to send a letter of recommendation to the Riverside Lobster because they were awarded by the Chamber of Commerce in Yarmouth. They had 2 awards, Large Business of the Year and Export Achievement. These are 2 good awards for a Clare business. So this is congratulations. Are there other presentations? Carl, I would like to congratulate for their 51st anniversary for Stanley and Rosemary T. Mutt, and we should send them a certificate for that. And also, to have the date, you can give the date tomorrow. And also, I would like to thank a group of people throughout Clare, people who walk and do exercise and go out and also collect garbage on the sides of the roads. It's been really noticed. It keeps the roadways really clear. People are talking about this. It's really noticed. So I want to thank those people who are doing this, and we hope they will continue. It's really greatly appreciated, and I wanted to say this publicly. Are there any other official presentations? We go on to 8.1, from Réal Boudreau. I'm writing to describe a recent experience I had with your municipality. As you know, the Acadian Federation appeared in court on the in late September concerning the electoral boundaries. Madam Judge Oland asked us a question on the memorandum the brief which you submitted in August 2012. Since this document was not already copied to the court, it was up to me to find it at 8032. I telephoned your office, spoke to Madame Doucet, asked for a copy of the memoir. She dropped everything, and by 8:54 on the same morning, she called me back to say that she had sent me a fax copy, and we were able to submit this to the judge. The lawyers team of the Acadian Federation, we're very grateful for this. We thank Jeannette for having done this for us, something which goes above and beyond her usual duties. I want to thank her personally. Yours very truly, Réal Boudreau of D'Entremont and Boudreau legal firm. This is a very nice letter to receive. I spoke to Réal, and he said if he had been in court without that document, it would have been difficult for them to make their arguments. So it's important to recognize this. We go now to 8.2, the Carleton Water Quality Steering Committee. English. We haven't appointed anyone officially. So that doesn't require a motion. We move on to, yes, Brian. This is a subject that will go on to the meeting of the 18th on Friday afternoon. I'm working, I'm not available. Maybe Danny. Even, are you interested in being the alternate? The library doesn't give you very much. It's only 4 times a year and it moves around. If you want to make a motion to appoint alternates and see if they accept that. But just about everybody works. You could do this coming Friday. I've been rushing around all day. No, that doesn't get us very far ahead. 10:30. Carl. It's hard to plan when it's just one day. We can still have Yvon as an alternate, and we'll see how it works. Microphone not on. Today he was at the meeting in Caledonia. There are 4 meetings every year. So this is the last of the meetings for this year. So we should be sure that we begin the year and to not miss any of the other meetings. It would be a good idea to send someone. So is there someone want to make the motion to appoint Yvon as an alternate? Moved by Hector, seconded by Danny. Is there discussion? All in favor? Contrary? Carried. So you'll be the alternate if you can't go Friday, but in the future the library is difficult when you are working. Would be somebody want to take the library board in Yarmouth? It's 4 times every year, but it's on Thursdays and it's in the afternoon, always on a Thursday. So you'll take him off. You're taking him off the library. I could take the library during the week.
So the next meeting is in December. I'll check to make sure, but it's always on a Thursday at 1 o'clock. So we need a motion to nominate Carl at the library board. Seconded by Danny. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor indicate by saying yes. Contrary, no. Motion carried. And to be fair, we met, Stefan and myself, we met to put the committees together, and there were recommendations, but we did not really look at when the committees were meeting and what the people were doing or the members were doing. But between ourselves, we can work it out and decide what to do. So by saying that, we will go on to 8.3.
Oh boy.
Tilo.
Hopefully.
Tett jeg borti. My agenda is in French here, but we'll go on to 8.3. Ah oui. Is everything okay? No? No, c'est pas okay. I can keep talking to make sure. Testing, testing, 1, 2. Testing, testing, hello, hello. Testing, 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 testing. Hein? Ouais. Testing. Va lui dire que c'est 83. Testing, 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 testing. You should be on 83. Testing, 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 testing. Hello, hello, testing, 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 testing. Hmm? Testing. 83. 8-3. Ça n'existe pas. Testing. 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 Chargeur est là. Testing. 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 Testing 1 2. Testing 1 2. Testing, testing. Hello, hello. Testing. 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 Hello, hello. Testing, testing. 1 2. Testing. 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 Testing 1 2. Testing. Testing, 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 1, 2. Testing, 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 1, 2. Testing, 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 hello, hello, testing, 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 hello, hello, testing, testing, 1, 2, testing, 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 hello, testing, testing, hello, hello, testing, 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 1, 2, testing, good. It works now, but you can choose. At the financial level, the municipality is always in a good financial position. As of November 14, 2016, the municipality had $7,900,000 in revenue versus 5.2 million in expenses for a net revenue of 2.6 million. Again, as of November 14th, the municipality had a balance of $3,020,782 in their account and a total reserve of additional reserve of $2,939,000. And these reserves, we are talking essentially about four reserves: a operational reserve of $434,000, and capital reserve of 2,130,603, and the reserve for the closing of the landfill of 3.14 million. And the reserve from the gas tax is 900,000, I believe. The gas tax is the rest of the amount that was allotted last year, and we didn't get the money for this year yet. Internally, there were a lot of activities at the municipality. The evaluation of the staff has been started, and we hope to finish that by the end of the month. We are presently revising the organizational study that was done last year to evaluate the progress that we have done so far and to see where we should put our priorities and efforts from now till the end of the year. One of those priorities that we identified was around the policies. Specifically, we have a need to put our policies up to date or even add to our policies, and there are some that we don't have that we should have, and we are presently revising a new code of conduct for the employees. We are working also on detailed policies on the nomination of citizens in our committees, as well as policies regarding the media, the computers, internet, and emails, etc.
Another exercise which will be taking place concerning our bylaws, and this will be through the bylaw committee. We are also working with the Department of Finance concerning recommendations for our internal letter of control. The recommendations have been discussed with our auditing committee and they've been accepted. These recommendations were made over the years and we will try to address them this year. We're not a really big municipality. We have not very many municipalities, and we have our auditors realize that we have a lot of work to do, but there will be a number of recommendations that we'll be working on, and the intention is to implement them before the end of the current fiscal year. In communications, we've been meeting. Our last meeting was in November. We're working towards putting in place a communications policy for the municipality, and it's formed with employees from the various departments. A number of meetings I attended. There's the Internet Municipal Working Group on the 7th of November, and today with representatives of the municipal representatives from Caledonia. I've also met with COA, Beyond Leblanc to be more precise. The Highway 101 task force was on the 21st of November, and the UNSM will be at the end of the month. That's my report. For the high-speed internet, is this a province-wide initiative? Is the focus on the community aspect? I would say so. I was talking just with Jason DeVoe today. Essentially, it's just for the 500 million is for rural municipalities. Cities are not eligible, so that limits who can apply. Specifically, what has to be submitted before a certain date in February. Do we need to submit a letter of intent or anything like that? The problem is we have information concerning the problem, but we haven't seen the application form, so we don't know exactly what's asked for. That would give us more time to finalize our application. I'm not sure if they would be willing to give us an extension, but as far as I know, we think they will ask for a complete application, so we should be preparing ourselves in consequence of that. This is not a question, it's an email I received concerning grants for the fire departments and search and rescue. It would be $900 and some odd thousand, which is given by the province and that we apply for. Is it possible to clarify what that grant is? This is the Emergency Service Provider Fund. I think you're referring to that. This is a fund which is managed by the province. We see it when we apply for financing for our fire departments, for their financing and their besoins, their needs in equipment. They provide us a list of items by order of priority, and we review the list with them. As part of that exercise, they asked us to apply to that fund because sometimes the items asked for are under this fund on a 50-50 basis. Most of them are aware of this program. It's not a new one. This year, the priority of the province is for bunker gear, protective suits and similar items. Through the municipality and all our departments, there are 4 of them which receive, there's Havelock, Salmon River, 5,000, Havelock 6, Batagan 2,075, and Little Brook 3,500. And there was a press report, a press communique which gives all of these details. There are a number of criteria when a department applies to be eligible. You can't have received money from the fund over the past preceding 2 years, and it's not just for firemen, it's also for first responders, hazmat, and there's another search and rescue, yes. All those departments, that kind of organization is eligible. So to answer your question, yes, we're aware of this fund. Are there other questions? If not, we go to the committee reports, 11.1, building permits. 11.3, Police Advisory Committee, none. 11.4, we only met on the 26th. A lot of the councils are still being sworn in. That explains the distance between the meetings. Waste check, was there a meeting? The meeting for November was cancelled because of the elections. The next meeting will be on the 12th of December. I didn't realize that. We were perhaps the first councillors to be sworn in. Even myself, I didn't have many meetings. We moved to 11, new business. 11.1, motion to transfer funds from the capital reserve to the operating fund. This is something we discussed with our auditors. We had a loan for the fire departments, which we financed ourselves. We paid this money out of our capital fund, and through the backlog, 100,000 was put towards the payment for one reason or another in 2008, 2009, and 29 and 2010. This payment was not made, so this 200,000, instead of being applied to the balance, was simply deposited in our reserve, which means that the value of the loan is $200,000 higher than it should be. So this is just a paper transaction, but what I'm asking you to do is to transfer $200,000 from the capital reserve fund to the operation fund to allow us to reduce the receivable from the fire departments. And this would make our overall financial situation look better in the eyes of the province, which evaluates us concerning the strength of our financial position. Danny. Does someone want to make the motion? Is there any discussion on the motion? All in favor, say aye. Contrary minded, nay. Motion carried. 11.2, motion to appoint Angeline Timo as the new member on the Villa Acadienne Board of Directors. Brian. I move that the Council for the Municipality of the District of Clare appoint Mrs. Angeline Timo as the new community member on the Villa Acadienne Board of Directors. Seconded by Hector. Is there discussion? All in favor, say aye. Against? Motion carried. 11.3, motion to approve the project funding the Matagan Park Development Association. Do you want to speak to this? It's the park in Metegan was approached by Harold Boudreau, who was one of the members of the association, and he was working very hard and very constantly on the development of this park. The park, as you know, is used by the members of the community of all ages, but with the passage of time, the park needs some work, uh, maintenance, landscaping, etc., and some investment in new infrastructure. Mr. Boudreau is putting an application together. He has approached a number of communities in the private sector for contributions, and he is uh, trying to make an application to the Community Health Board, and the maximum he can ask for is 3,000 from them. So he's asking for 5,000 from the municipality. This is not a really big project, but this is a project which Mr. Boudreau and his associates believe is necessary. The project would be scheduled for the coming spring. He's asking us if he could submit an application now for $5,000 for his project, and the recommendation to the council is to approve this money, but that this money come out of our budget for the next fiscal year to 2017-2018. Does someone want to make the motion? Hector? I move that the Council of the Municipality of the District of Clare contribute $5,000 to the Metegan Park Development Association in support of its park renovation project, and that these funds be taken from the municipality's 2017-2018 budget. Is there a seconder? Eric, is there discussion? I repeat this quite often, but the procedure for the people watching, the application came and we discussed at the council and committee. All of these motions have been discussed and recommended to the council, and I say this so that the public should be informed that we discussed this 2 weeks ago, and there was the opportunity for the public to speak to the council to support the application or to ask questions. It's on the website. If you go to the website, there's a section where there are recommendations. All the recommended motions are by the council and committee are there, so that the public can be informed what we are going to decide on at the council. It's important for the public to know that, and I would like the public to go to the website, and they shouldn't be timid about this. You go and you see where it says motion to recommend, and you can say that you're 100% in favor, or you can have questions. This is very important. This is an opportunity for the public, so I'm just taking this opportunity. So if there's any discussion on the motion, other than that, are you ready for the vote?
All those in favor indicate by saying yes. Contrary, no. Motion is carried. 11.4, motion to contribute to the Metegan sewer systems. Anybody wish to make the motion? Eric? I move that the municipality of the District of Clare contribute up to 25% of the cost of extending the current sewer system in Metegan towards the shore along the John Theodore Road. Any seconder? Seconded by Clare. Do you want to speak on the motion? It's a motion that we brought here to build some future economic development that we know are coming on that road, and by having a sewer system along the road is something that would advantage the potential of those economic developments to take place. So we find that it is important for the community, not only for the revenue for the municipality that will bring in taxes, but also for job creation. I would like to say for a lot of municipalities, especially for ours, the economic development is very important. By saying that for a municipality, it is limited on the role that we play, and the sewer systems is one of our responsibilities. So if we can play a role as a municipal unit, it is a good opportunity for us to create opportunities. Any more discussions? If not, all those in favor indicate by saying yes. Contrary, no. Motion is carried. Motion to write a letter of support to the Salmon River Salmon Association, if I said it correctly. This is following the presentation from Roland Leblanc at our meeting in committee. Mr. Leblanc asked for a letter of support for a project that the association is working on, and it is simply to formalize our response to Mr. Leblanc and approve a letter from the council. Does anybody second that? Yvon? Seconded by Yvon. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor indicate by saying yes. Contrary, no. Motion is carried. So item 12 is the in-camera session. We had 11.6 will be brought to the next meeting. So we had two items to discuss in camera on staff, and the other is the Acadian Vote of Allegiance. So saying that, we need a motion to go in camera, moved by Neil, seconded by Brian. All those in favor indicate by saying yes. Contrary, no. Motion is carried. For those on the air, I would like to say good evening, and the next meeting of the council will be December 21st. Good night.